Good afternoon, everybody. On this fantastic fall, Tuesday, we got parent-teacher conferences, and I'm going to wrap up this EDL 854 course with each of you. Let's talk about what we know in this case here in section 1. Briardale Elementary School principal is Carlos Santos. Mr. Barley, one of the key players here in this case study, for a Harvard graduate, which seemed to be maybe why he got the foundation president's job at Briarside, because he was from Harvard. So he was elected. He's kind of new to the community, and he was elected to be the foundation president at Briardale Elementary. He plans to raise the most money ever raised for innovative curriculum programs, and pre-existing programs will obviously continue, but he wants to do more with some more innovative curriculum. He plans to sell tickets for a raffle for cash event that will take place at the school. He's excited to compete against a former fraternity brother from Harvard. These two gentlemen, like I said, were fraternity brothers at Harvard, and they both are raising funds for two different schools within the district and seem to enjoy competition. So Mr. Barley proposed his plans to the foundation, and they were in support of the raffle event. Tickets were sold, and a drawing was held at Briardale Elementary School. The night of the event, Mr. Barley was arrested and charged with a misdemeanor for his role in the raffle for cash event. The sheriff's officer showed up. He was tipped off by someone that the case study did not name, and he was actually arrested at the event in front of community members and etc. Mr. Santos, the principal, was embarrassed, and the budget mess was front page on the local paper. So definitely a predicament here, and we'll just move forward and talk about solutions and facts. Who's involved? Mr. Santos is involved, Mr. Barley, the Briardale students and schools. The superintendent wasn't mentioned anywhere in this case study, nor was the school board, which I find extremely interesting. There were a lead teacher, and then the school site curriculum committee members were also involved, at least a little bit. And then, of course, teachers and students are always affected by everything that goes on in buildings. Were there legal or ethical issues in this case? Absolutely. There were plenty of people harmed by action decisions that were made, including Mr. Barley, who was arrested and charged. Mr. Santos, his reputation of how business should be conducted is it definitely was harmed, and he has a lot of repair to do. The Briardale Foundation experienced negative press, along with lost revenue from the fundraiser that was not allowed to continue. And of course, the superintendent has some explaining to do and was probably harmed in these decisions. Who was existing, or was there an existing law broken? Absolutely. Kansas Revenue says that a raffle license is required for any educational organization that can conduct raffles with gross receipts of over $25,000. This article, or this case study, didn't really talk about how much money was raised, but it was a large fundraiser. So I went ahead and entered this law that I assumed was potentially broken here. There was no breach of contract in this case study, however. So in basically one short, quick sentence, Mr. Barley, president of the Briardale Foundation, was arrested and convicted of a misdemeanor for his role in a raffle for cash fundraising event that took place to raise money for curriculum programs at Briardale Elementary School. The people, facts that we know: Carlos Santos is principal, Mr. Barley's the new foundation president, foundation members, the school curriculum members, raffle member participants, the local sheriff, and the students' lack of funding for programs. It took place at Briardale Elementary, like I stated. It's in the center of a diverse town, and town hall or town community meetings are held there at that school. The program itself, we don't know a ton, but we did know a few things. Briardale is one of 6 elementary schools that serves between 500 to 800 students. Foundations are in each building, so they have a group of individuals that do raise money for each building within the district. Fundraising seems to be competitive, and curriculum suggestions made by the foundation to the school site curriculum committee. So lots of things to think about here. Reviewing and prioritizing. Could this conflict in situation or decision be damaging? I think I've made this, this is terribly dangerous and damaging to the community, the schools, the teachers, the students, anybody that was involved in this situation. It is definitely damaging. The reputation of the school and its leadership is also in jeopardy. Who has important stake in this outcome? The students specifically. They may have less programs and less curriculum opportunities if this money isn't raised or straightened out in some form or fashion. Mr. Barley, Mr. Santos, and all the leaders at Briardale. Have all the stakeholders have they all been consulted? It doesn't appear that everybody has been in the loop as far as this case study goes. I don't know enough information, but what took place after Mr. Barley was arrested, will he maintain his job as president? We don't really know. What happens to the funds raised? We don't know that either. And why is the school board and the superintendent not involved? These are some questions that I had for myself as I moved through trying to figure out how I would handle this situation and just kind of how to move forward, prioritizing what happened and where we're at as of now or at the end of the case study. Can I learn more? I definitely need to learn more before I can make an informed and educated decision. I do not have enough information. I need more information on laws and policies within Briardale to make an appropriate decision. Who dropped the ball on informing Mr. Barley of fundraising policies and laws? And does the superintendent or school board not have to approve major fundraising projects here within this district? I know if a situation like this were to happen here, we absolutely would have had approval before it would ever have gotten off the ground. So I definitely have questions there. Here's some of my options. Do nothing, which I think sweep it under the rug, move on, acting as though nothing ever took place. Option 2, ask Mr. Barley to resign and be transparent, issuing a public statement admitting wrongdoing unintentionally. Or option 3, hand back the funds of the raffle to participating members and let Mr. Barley continue as a foundation president with additional training and guidance. So, without a ton of information and a whole bunch of questions that I still have unanswered, let's talk about these three. I think there's pros and cons to all of them, but doing option number 1 is terrible. It's poor leadership. It will leave a permanent black eye on the school foundation and doesn't support school improvement or student development. The pros, it's easy. Just kind of walk away, wash your hands of it, and move about your day. And it does take the least amount of time. The cons, I think it demonstrates absolutely no leadership or character on the part of a principal in this situation. Option 2, Mr. Santos could step down as building principal and let the court system handle Mr. Barley's consequences, and a new foundation president could be assigned. The pros, it shows the school is not in support of this type of situation. And the cons, time consuming. It's difficult to hire a new principal. It's never easy. And then you'd also have to hire a new foundation president. So definitely time consuming. Option 3, Mr. Santos and the foundation could publicly address the community with an apology and have specific plans in place to train and guide school personnel in fundraising and policies and procedures that legally must be followed. The pros, it assumes responsibility, it's ethical and fair, return the money to raffle participants, and it will inform against future mistakes. Cons, it's hard to admit guilt, and you may lose some support throughout your community. Making a decision in this case, as far as the options I provided, seems to be pretty easy in my mind. Option 3, I would choose to admit my guilt, take full responsibility for my lack of oversight and knowledge of the laws that involve fundraising. Being honest and transparent proves that we made an honest mistake unknowingly, and we want to do everything we can to be honest and ethical. The money should be returned to all participants in conversations, or even a committee should be formed to ensure this never happens again. Training personnel should begin immediately on laws and regulations that involve school fundraising. And I had to add this little bullet down at the end. Just knowing my current administration, I would choose option 3 if I was given that opportunity, but I feel like if something of this magnitude were to happen under my leadership, I might be looking for a new job, and I might be asked to resign before I got to make a decision in this case study. Implementing my decision, how would I go about it? First, I would schedule a meeting with my superintendent. Second, I would schedule a meeting with the foundation board to address the seriousness of the raffle and the events that took place. Thirdly, I would schedule a community forum to discuss the events and let people be heard. Fourth, I would plan on all staff in service to go over the policies and procedures involving school fundraising. And fifth, I would form a plan to figure out who purchased tickets and what amount of money we owe them in return. Reflecting on this case, it seems like every case study that I do throughout this program, there's just so many unanswered questions, and I know that's intentional, but with the knowledge or with the information I was given, this was definitely how I would go about, solving figuring out this scenario that was given to us. This case study made me really think about all the fundraising initiatives I've been involved in without truly knowing the laws and regulations. This just proves how important it is to think everything through before making decisions. We're very limited on what we can do from a fundraising standpoint here in our small town. We have to be granted permission for every fundraiser, small or large. This case study is a perfect example of why. This also proves how critically important it is to train personnel in all policies and procedures that govern fundraising. You cannot expect people to know unless you have communicated the expectations to them. Thank you for listening. I've thoroughly enjoyed this course, and I look forward to taking a few more courses with some of you in the very near future. Thank you, and have a wonderful fall. Take care.